Well, certainly, thank you, Madam Speaker, and certainly, Deputy Premier, we support your statement of support for every member of the Tasmania Fire Service, the Parks and Wildlife Service, Forestry Tasmania and the SES, who put everything into tackling the fires of last summer under really extreme conditions, Madam Speaker. Now, Madam Speaker, what we've had confirmed today as a result of the Cronstedt review is that the response to the 2018-19 summer bushfires was inadequate, Madam Speaker, and it was inadequate because we did not equip our firefighters with the equipment that they need to tackle these fires and to hit hard and hit early. Madam Speaker, in budget estimates this year, we repeatedly asked questions of the response to the summer bushfires, and we were particularly concerned about the fact that firefighters left the Gel River fire before it was put out, Madam Speaker. And as we know from the information that we've received today, there was a view that that fire had been extinguished, but within 24 hours of firefighters walking away from the Gel River fire, of course, it had flared up, Madam Speaker, and the consequences of that decision, Madam Speaker, were profound for Tasmania's Wilderness World Heritage Area and for communities that were impacted by the summer fires. Now, Madam Speaker, it's deeply frustrating as a Green member and someone who feels passionately about the protection of environmental values from climate-related bushfires that we are now talking about another review into the response to Tasmania's bushfires when this government has not even implemented the recommendations of the Tony Press review into the 2016 summer fires. Madam Speaker, when is the government going to wake up? When? We are heading for an El Niño summer. There is every indication that this will be a hot, dry, high bushfire risk summer. We've had 5 years of the Liberals in government, and their flagship response to bushfire risk is fire mitigation through controlled burns. Well, of course, that's an important part of mitigating the risk of bushfires, particularly impacting on communities, Madam Speaker. But it's not enough. You've got to have the equipment there, Madam Speaker. We can't run a bushfire response on the cheap, Madam Speaker, but that's what's been happening. We've had our bushfire response, our firefighters, under-resourced sequentially, even though in the past few years we have had bushfires happen here that have been a response to global heating, that have been created by global heating, that should be a wake-up call to us all and demand a strong funding response from government. Now, we are hoping, Madam Speaker, that this time, instead of government saying to the United Firefighters Union of Australia, who put forward a cost-neutral proposal, go away, we don't want to hear from you, that they'll call back in the United Firefighters Union and take seriously their proposals for better bushfire preparedness. We need to equip our outstanding firefighters with all the equipment and technology that they require to tackle these bushfires and make sure that we are going in, Madam Speaker, and hitting hard and hitting early. We can't have another situation, Madam Speaker, where a decision is made to leave a fire in extreme fire weather, to walk away from that fire, and then it gets out of control, Madam Speaker. We can do so much better. So I hope under the new Minister for Police, Fire and Emergency Management, one of the first things that he does is he calls in the United Firefighters Union of Australia, that he calls in Dr Tony Press to talk about the recommendations that he brought down in 2016 and to work through those recommendations which have not been implemented. And Madam Speaker, I don't have time here today to go through those recommendations which have not been implemented from Dr Tony Press's report. We detailed that in budget estimates, but every recommendation Tony Press put forward that related to the need for extra funding has not been implemented. So this is intolerable, Madam Speaker. We can't be back here this time next year having a debate about yet another report into the response to bushfires, Madam Speaker. We have to, as a parliament, get serious about making sure government is putting the resources into the bushfire prevention and control efforts that they need. We have to, when we are given recommendations by people in our community who are highly regarded and who, in fact, in the case of Dr Press, were asked by the Premier himself, we have to listen to those experts. If we're going to commission reviews into our response to summer fires, then we have to implement the recommendations, Madam Speaker. We can't be fighting global heating on the cheap, Madam Speaker. We know that the summer fires this year, devastating summer fires of this year, were started as a result of dry lightning strikes that are, according to the Parks and Wildlife Service, increasing in frequency and intensity as a result of global heating. We have a landscape here, Madam Speaker, that is like nowhere else on earth. We have Gondwana here, Madam Speaker, a fragment of an ancient landscape. It is so vulnerable to fire, Madam Speaker. We need to be putting every resource that we can into protecting Gondwana, Madam Speaker. So I just want to close by acknowledging the work that went into the Cronstedt review, encouraging the new minister not to follow the example set by his predecessor and ignore good proposals that are put forward, but instead to recommit to resourcing our response to bushfires in the future.